All right, good afternoon, everyone. If I could have your attention, I want to go over some housekeeping duties first, right off the bat, before we welcome our founder and president, Patrick Reilly, up. A couple things I want to talk to you about just as far as the layout of everything. First of all, the bathrooms are just outside these doors. Both men's and women's restrooms are across the foyer. Our breakout rooms are going to be right next. Actually, if we knock that wall out, all our 3 breakout rooms are going to be right behind there. So when you exit here, you can go to your right. We have a sign out in front of each of the breakout rooms for this afternoon as to which breakout room corresponds to the topic that you want to see. If you're staying on campus, you need to check in by 7 p.m. at our visitor center here. That is on the bottom floor over where they see information, and they'll get you your key and get you checked in, okay? If at the Line Hotel, how many of you are staying at the Line Hotel? Okay, so our shuttle will leave tonight at 8 o'clock and then take us back here tomorrow at 8 a.m., all right? All of our activities are here in the PRIS, our breakout rooms, all of the activities except when we go to the banquet, which will go down to Father O'Connell Hall. And we'll follow like cattle as we leave here. We did the same thing at the University of St. Thomas. Everybody just followed everybody. Let's just follow somebody that knows where they're going this time. So we'll make sure that happens. All meals are buffet style. As you see, to avoid what just happened on the next one, we're going to have 2 lanes of us going down. They were supposed to pull those out away from the wall and push it against the wall, so we only had 1. But we'll make sure that doesn't happen again. If you need anything, we'll try to keep the staff at the registration tables. Otherwise, ask anybody with one of the red badges. Cindy over there, show your red badge, Cindy. Cindy knows everything that's going on here and can help you with that. Chris Byrne also has been coordinating all of the activity here, and you can grab him and ask any question you need. So those are the things, kind of housekeeping. Now, I do want to say this too. Our area right here is for sponsors. The sponsors make this event because of their donations and what they give to us, okay? So the ones that are both gold and silver sponsors, which requires a $10,000 and a $5,000 commitment for sponsorship, they were allowed to set up a booth, and so they're over there. Please make sure that during the breaks and during this time you stop and get a chance to talk with them. Very important. They want to help you in your Catholic mission with the services they provide. They're very excited about being here, and so if you get a chance, go over and just introduce yourself, say hello, and get to know a little about the products and services that they offer, okay? All right. I want to invite Patrick Reilly up here to talk to you from the very beginning, but before I do, I want to just say this. As a father of 5 children, I found Catholic education to be quite confusing. As I sought to find the solutions for my family, I was willing to go great distances. We ended up finding a Catholic high school that was 33 miles away. We lived in Missouri, and we drove to Kansas. And we drove 33 miles one way, and if those kids were in an event, they weren't home until after dark. But as a Catholic family seeking authentic Catholic education, I have probably never met anybody in my life that holds a higher regard for Catholic education and what is required of Catholic education, the vision for it, than Mr. Patrick Reilly, and that's why I joined him at the Cardinal Newman Society. So if you would, let's welcome him for his vision for creating the Cardinal Newman Society in 1993 and for the Newman Guide since 2007. All right.
Okay, thank you. We're so excited to have you all here, and we're rolling a little bit late, but we'll make up the time, and so we have a lot of great things going on. E Pluribus Unum, not Unum. It's a beautiful sentiment, right? It's the sentiment of America, this understanding that we come from many places and we're all together, and certainly I think it fits for what we're doing today. We're excited to have all of you come together, to meet each other, to collaborate with each other, to collaborate with the Cardinal Newman Society, and for us to do everything we can to assist and to promote you. And then tomorrow we have our higher education group coming in tomorrow afternoon, and the opportunity then to collaborate and get to know them. There was a question asked me, why do we have all the reserve signs out here? Our wonderful hosts, Catholic University of America, needed to set up all the tables at once, but we didn't really want the smaller group to spread out everywhere. So if you sit at a reserve table, Denise, I'll talk to you later now. Fine, but the idea is, we don't want the whole smaller group spread out everywhere. The point is to all be together and to get to know each other. So that's why they're there. From a Catholic perspective, I think obviously there's so much more to E Pluribus Unum, right? And certainly from a Newman perspective, right? This understanding that not only does everything come together into one, but everything was sourced from the one. So when we come together, we're returning to the way we're supposed to be, right? And we do that with knowledge, we do that with everything, right? Our understanding, our knowledge, our passions, our everything come together into the one, and that's what Newman wants from education, and that's what you all provide. So your presence here today is very exciting to us at the Cardinal Newman Society. We're very thankful that you're here. This is our very first time bringing together elementary and secondary leaders for so long. When we started, we were exclusively focused on college education, higher education. Then we moved in around the Common Core time. We moved into elementary and secondary education. We did have a recognition program, the honor roll, which many of your schools were listed on that. And then we decided to, because the Newman Guide had such a reputation, we wanted to just fold it all into the one form of recognition, into the Newman Guide. So this is very, very exciting, and we're so glad that you're here. I'd like to begin just very quickly with Newman's famous meditation. It's not technically a prayer, but we can say it with a prayerful attitude. So in the name of the Father, Son, Holy Spirit, amen. God was all complete, all blessed in himself, but it was his will to create a world for his glory. He is almighty and might have done all things himself, but it has been his will to bring about his purposes by the beings he has created. We are all created to his glory. We are created to do his will. I am created to do something or to be something for which no one else is created. I have a place in God's counsels, in God's world, which no one else has. Whether I be rich or poor, despised or esteemed by man, God knows me and calls me by name. God has created me to do him some definite service. He has committed some work to me which he has not committed to another. I have my mission. I may never know it in this life, but I shall be told it in the next. Somehow I am necessary for his purposes, as necessary in my place as an archangel in his. If indeed I fail, he can raise another, as he could make the stones children of Abraham. Yet I have a part in this great work. I am a link in a chain, a bond of connection between persons. He has not created me for naught. I shall do good, I shall do his work. I shall be an angel of peace, a preacher of truth in my own place, while not intending it, if I do but keep his commandments and serve him in my calling. In the name of the Father, Son, Holy Spirit, amen. I think that so much captures what the Cardinal Newman Society wants and sees from Catholic education. Our mission is born, we'll talk about this a little bit later, but our mission is born from the needs of families for faithful formation of their children and for themselves throughout their lives. And if we simply, as Newman says, if we simply take step by step, if we simply follow his commandments and serve him in our calling, we will do good. So thank you very much. And Kevin, we're going to roll right into our first session here. Thank you.
Okay. I want to explain a little bit of something to you as far as the Cardinal Newman Society goes and our because seeing you here and knowing some of you is, as Patrick said, it's exciting for the Cardinal Newman Society. Because this is the first time we had the Newman Guide Leaders Summit in 2024, in which we had the college leaders. This is the first time that we're bringing together the K through 12 and the colleges together into a unified whole. So I want to talk to you a little bit about how that came about, because you are kind of the manifestation of our strategic planning going back to 2022. To some of you, this is another event. I heard somebody out there say they go to 15 events on the year. And so they're just going event to event. Although this is an event, some of you are going, 15, that's nothing. We do more than that. 15 events in a year is a huge amount. I mean, you're going more than one a month. But this is more than an event. The idea of the Cardinal Newman Society having, in 2022, we were on the cusp of turning 30 years of age. And Patrick looked at the Cardinal Newman Society, what can we do to refresh it? What can we do to show people exactly what it is we stand for? And so we went into a what we would call a brand refresh, a new logo, new colors, new iconography. I mean, we're Catholic. We want to show something, and we want to show it forth in all that we say and do. And so to my right here is our new logo. The very first thing you're going to notice is that Newman's bust is in our logo. We wanted to more clearly tie the Cardinal Newman Society to this great educator saint, because his vision of Catholic education is powerful. This idea of a complete or holistic education is something that I think the whole world needs to understand more than ever. Perhaps this is why 2 years after we did this, Newman was named both the Doctor of the Church and co-patron of Catholic education in 2025. We celebrated that. But we wanted people to see the direct tie for what the Cardinal Newman Society stands for in name and start to be able to show it visually. Now, there's a couple things that I want to point out about this. The colors of the logo. You'll notice the tables are all in red. The colors that we've chosen are inspired by the office of a cardinal. Red, white, black, and gold. And so these colors weren't just randomly chosen. We specifically chose them. And if you'll know anything about the red and its tie to a cardinal, is that it is supposed to signify the blood of Jesus Christ. And the idea is that Christ is the foundation of all faithful Catholic education. His truth, what he offers us, is a firm foundation for Catholic education. It's also, the red signifies the blood of the Christian martyrs. The Christian martyrs who taught and defended Catholic education and Catholic teaching without fear or without compromise. And that is what the Cardinal Newman Society stands for. This is why when we look at things that have developed over time at many schools and colleges, they retract or withdraw from that. And by the very logo that you see, we're expressing our desire for people to be able to stand firm in the faith and teach it without reserve. The final thing is, up the top of this logo is a bar above Newman's head. That red bar signifies the high bar of Catholic education. So the high bar is best exemplified in the Newman Guide. If you are able to call yourself Newman Guide recommended, to borrow kind of the analogy of today, we're getting ready to celebrate the 250th year of our nation, in which people are going to shoot off fireworks. By having that seal, it will serve as a flare to Catholic families like me, who were looking for authentic Catholic education and couldn't find it, who had to pass 5 or 6 schools before they got to an authentic Catholic education, to somebody who was firm about teaching the faith. When I toured the school that my kids ended up going to, the young man who took us around for our tour stopped outside the chapel and said, I'm going to genuflect toward the tabernacle, because everything here is built centered on the tabernacle. And I said, okay, sign me up. And he said, no, let's keep going. I said, no. I came a long way to get this. And now that I've found it, this is what I want. And that's what we did. And we sacrificed. I have a Kia with 245,000 miles on it. Okay, going back and forth because that's how much it meant to us. All right. This line, if you'll notice, stretches from one side to the other because it is a continuous cycle. Name me a saint, no matter how brilliant or how wise, that ever thought they were a finished product. Nobody. The more they knew, they acted like the less they knew, the more humble they were, right? So Catholic education is a continuous cycle. So when we have always been saying that here's the best colleges since 2007, but then we extended Newman Guide recognition into K through 12 and graduate programs. And then we started looking at hybrid and homeschools, and then we started looking at curriculum providers. And now we have this full gamut, that full gamut from life, beginning of time until the death of you. That's what Catholic education should be. It's always a continuous cycle, but there has to also be a unity. What I want most is when a parent or a student asks you, where should I go to school or college? That you, with confidence and without regard, without any hesitation, should say, find a Newman Guide recommended school or college. If you do that, you will have a sure guide. And you know this. You can go by schools yourselves and go, I'm a little iffy about this school. I'm concerned about this school. I'm concerned about that. And what happens is when parents experience that, then they give up and they'll go to alternatives like public school. We did this, okay? We tried them all. Public school, private school, homeschool, hybrid school. We created a hybrid school that's still in existence today. So these are very valuable lessons. So I want you to be able to say that confidently. If you are Newman Guide recommended, congratulations. If you are not, please seek to be Newman Guide recommended. Let the Catholic families know what you stand for. The very fact that we have a theme today, and the theme is in order to form a more perfect union, is why we're bringing together K through 12, colleges, homeschool, hybrid schools, and curriculum providers into one event, okay? Nobody else is doing this, and by holding it to our Newman Guide standards, Catholic families will see that sure flare in the sky when they're confused, okay? All right. What I want to do is we're going to move into our next session quickly because we had the eating took a little bit more time than we wanted, and I think the Mass ran a little long too. We'll have to really get on them for that. So what we're going to do is I'm going to invite Patrick back up, and he's going to start and talk a little bit about building a Newman Guide network, and then we'll have each of my colleagues also come up. You guys are in for a real treat. All right? All right, Patrick.
Okay, thank you. Kevin, did you introduce yourself at the start? This is Kevin Murphy, who's been talking to you, if you were wondering who that was. Kevin is our Vice President for Marketing Communications, former Vice President of Marketing at Ave Maria University and with Catholic Charities in Kansas City, and has been very focused on these issues, as you can tell. I'm very passionate about it. So I'm Patrick Reilly. I'm president of the Cardinal Newman Society, and I've been doing this for a long time, feels. In the year that my last year of college, which was a experience I won't go into detail right now, but it was not a great experience. The Pope St. John Paul II issued Ex Corde Ecclesiae, the document governing Catholic higher education. And it was a beautiful affirmation of what I had been arguing for in our school newspaper and in my own, very young way at the time. And that's basically what led to the Cardinal Newman Society, that and the experience of a number of other graduates of other institutions. So I'm going to talk a little bit. This is, for many of you, we've known you for a while. Others of you, we're just meeting, and so we're just becoming friends. And so we want to introduce you to a little bit about the Cardinal Newman Society, because most of you know us through the process of becoming Newman Guide recommended, which of course is a huge part of what we do. But I want you to understand why we do it. And when I do that, I want to be careful. I'm hoping that you don't get the wrong impression that we're here to talk all about us, about the Cardinal Newman Society. But in a sense we are, but it's because of how we see the Cardinal Newman Society. We don't see it as this organization that, look at us, look at this place. The entire purpose of the Cardinal Newman Society is to promote and applaud you in what you're doing. And so we hear from a number of colleges, some of the smaller colleges have told us, if the Cardinal Newman Society, if the Newman Guide didn't exist, we probably wouldn't exist either. We wouldn't be getting the students that we're getting. And of course, I always tell them, well, if you didn't exist, we wouldn't exist. The Newman Guide wouldn't exist if we couldn't be touting and promoting and celebrating the great faithful Catholic education that you provide. And if it simply wasn't out there, we would be back to the early years when we started, which was a pretty dismal outlook on what was happening in higher education. And so we're very happy to be doing what we're doing today. And so when I talk about what the Cardinal Newman Society is and what we're doing, it's about how we're trying to be helpful to you and how we're trying to promote your institutions. And we very much invite feedback from you in terms of how we can keep doing that better and get stronger and better at it, because we see this as a partnership. So again, the Cardinal Newman Society was founded in 1993 to advocate ex corde ecclesiae initially because of the scandals and the dissent that we were seeing in much of Catholic higher education. And it came this different from there are a lot of great organizations that have cropped up over that 33 years in Catholic education, some of them before that. And they're all doing great work. What's unique about the Cardinal Newman Society is we begin with this concern, not the concern of educators, but the concern, first of all, of Catholic families. And number one, the concern of the awareness and a deep concern about the injustice and the harm that can be done by counterfeit Catholic education when it's presented as Catholic but does things in a way that's not truly Catholic. And then secondly, the urgent need. There's an urgency to this and a great need that Catholic families need faithful Catholic education. This is not something that we can just take our time on and figure out. And so we would rather be celebrating the handful, the 100, the 200, the 500 institutions that are doing this now, and saying to families, look, here's where you can find good, faithful Catholic education. We launched the Newman Guide in 2007 to hold up models for the reform of Catholic higher education, and then we moved into elementary and secondary education primarily out of the Common Core. There was the concern about, it was discovered that pretty much every diocese in the country had moved to the Common Core curriculum standards, which in themselves weren't necessarily opposed to Catholic education, but simply weren't built for Catholic education. There was so much that they were missing, right? And so the question was being asked, why aren't they using Catholic standards? And the answer that came back from the diocese was, well, we've been using the state standards for decades. That's what we've been using to measure our education. And it wasn't a problem, or people didn't really notice it until the entire nation went into this one thing, the Common Core, and it became controversial. And so that's when we launched our Catholic curriculum standards, which are now in use by 52 dioceses, which have about 500,000 students in them. And we got into the honor roll. We acquired the honor roll program from the Acton Institute, developed it in our own way, and then have now built it into the Newman Guide. So my point is, the Cardinal Newman Society is unique because we're born from the crisis. We're born from a sense that there's something deeply wrong across most of Catholic education, and from the great needs of families that did not seem to be being met. And so there are many great groups doing good work toward reform, but they're not often willing to talk about the problems in the way that we are. We don't want to dwell on the problems, but we also don't want to be shy about saying, hey, this is not faithful Catholic education. We need to fix this. And we're not willing to settle for partial progress. We hold up the very best education and insist that that's what all Catholic education ought to be, and that nothing else is acceptable to Catholic families. Go. Okay. So our challenge is this. Most Catholic education groups focus, are concerned about the decline of Catholic schools. It's kind of like an industry concern of what's happening with Catholic education. Enrollment in Catholic parochial schools has dropped 3.6 million since 1965, which is more than 2/3 of enrollment, which is obviously a deep concern. But our concern is primarily about the fidelity and the Catholic formation, which is the chief reason, we believe, for this decline of Catholic schools amid a lot of other things going on. Since 1970, U.S. Catholics, the number of Catholics in the United States has increased 40% since 1970. And yet, in that exact same time, infant baptisms have dropped nearly 50%. Catholic marriages have dropped nearly 75%. And weekly Mass attendance among baptized Catholics has fallen from 55% to 19%. In 2007, the year that we launched the Newman Guide, Pope Benedict declared the educational emergency, and he used this phrase over and over again, speaking about the worldwide problem of young people basically being lost, not knowing God, not knowing faith, not understanding, and being lost in despair and uncertainty about their lives. And then when he came to the United States and he spoke to Catholic educators in this very room, Pope Benedict said that today's crisis of reason is rooted in a crisis of faith. And that's where we start at the Cardinal Newman Society. So our mission statement is we promote and defend faithful Catholic education. We insist on faithful education, we celebrate it, and we fight to protect it. There are challenges even to the very best institutions. You're all feeling it, I'm sure. Your faculty and your families are feeling it. There's the corruption of false ideologies, and we certainly have plenty of that today. And then there's the threat of compromise, or the temptation to compromise, because of the threats to religious freedom, many of them coming from the government or from advocates who are trying to convince the government to restrict what we need to do in order to be faithful Catholic educators. And so all of our work upholds the authentic teaching of and practice of the Church, and we take a special emphasis, of course, on our patron, St. John Henry Newman, who, it's just amazing. I mean, when I started the Cardinal Newman Society in 1993, Newman was a cardinal. He was basically almost like an honorary cardinal, named very late in his life for all of the great educating work that he had done. But for us, he was basically the author of a book, The Idea of a University, a series of lectures when he was forming a university in England that was a great inspiration to many people for faithful Catholic education. Since that time, he was beatified, then canonized, then named Doctor of the Church and patron of Catholic education. So it's pretty extraordinary for us. Other organizations that are out there doing great work. Here's an example of some of their mission statements. We love it. I mean, for the most part, we love what they're doing and agree with 99% of what they're doing. Some of you might have seen the statement just came out I think it was just this last week, the Front Royal statement, they called it. A group got together in Front Royal, and we did not sign it. We decided that we were not going to be able to sign it, in part just because of the hurried way in which it was put together, but secondly, there were just aspects of it that do not fit us, one of which is sort of casting some aspersions at homeschooling and independent schools and such, which for us are a real light in the reform of Catholic education, and we're very excited about them, as well as with the renewal of parochial schools and everything else. Okay, so the other organizations tend to be focused on the educator side, right? Helping educators to do what they do better. Better classroom teaching, better operations athletics, better emphasis on liberal arts, classical methods, better ministry, religious formation. A lot of good stuff is happening. We went through decades of organizations trying to do this and not doing it very well, and now we really have some great organizations who are doing it well. And so I kind of think of that as like the supply side of the equation. They're focused on strengthening their institutions so that they can provide something better and attract families to that. So they keep improving it, make it less expensive, make it more attractive. And in the worst cases, they're simply trying to fill seats with warm bodies. But we're seeing that get better and better as we go along. So that's exciting. The Newman Guide difference, though, the Cardinal Newman Society's approach is more on the demand side. So we're focused on the family, again, on the injustice and the harm to the family of counterfeit Catholic education and the urgent need for authentic formation. And so all of our motivation, all of our energy comes from families. And so we want to go right to the heart of the problem, which is a lack of commitment to the authentic mission of Catholic education that families so desperately need. And so we take a strong standards-based approach, holding education up to clear standards. We are what we measure, right? If we're willing to measure it, then we're willing to be what it is that we measure. The Newman Guide strategy, what is the whole point of this? I mean, obviously we want to celebrate your institutions, and the Newman Guide does that, and we do that as vigorously as we can. Kelly will talk in a few minutes about that. The Newman Guide is, we call it the gold standard of faithful Catholic education. That's not a comment on the Newman Guide itself, it's a comment on the content of the Newman Guide, the institutions that are there. These are the institutions that make up the gold standard, right? And that meet the standards that Catholic education should meet. Basically 4 aspects of this. Number 1, elevate, to help educators meet the Newman Guide standards. I'm sorry, I'm using the wrong term here. Advocate. So to champion the cause of Catholic education, Catholic families, and their need for urgent reform, as I said. And so we do a lot of advocacy. We're not afraid to do that. Secondly, evaluation. That's the whole Newman Guide. We screen institutions, and we do that. Yes, we want to do that, and we love the fact that it helps your institutions. But I'm going to tell you right now, and I hope no one takes any offense at this, the primary reason we do it is for the families, not for you. We're doing it so that families, number 1, have access and know that your institutions exist, and know that they have these things available to them. And secondly, that you can stand up and we can hold you up as models for the reform of other institutions so that this can grow and more families can have access to it. So we want your success. We very much want that. But whereas other institutions are fully focused on, advising and working within the internal workings of institutions, our focus is on the advocacy and getting institutions to meet those standards that we hold out there for the sake of families. Okay? Celebrate. Then through the Newman Guide, we celebrate your institutions, and then finally to defend. Bob Laird feels bad that he was not able to be here. Bob Laird is the senior counselor to the president. That's his title. But Bob has been with us. You'll see him tomorrow. But he's been with the Cardinal Newman Society for 14 years in a number of respects. Bob runs our Defender program, by which we monitor legal threats and ideological threats to Catholic education. We do a number of amicus briefs. When we can, we also get your institutions involved, so you might be hearing from us asking you, would you be willing to join in an amicus brief? We've had a lot of impact on some major court cases at the Supreme Court, and federal courts, and state courts to defend the religious freedom of your institutions. And so that's one thing that we do that I think is rather unique, and he's been outstanding at it. I'm going to now introduce Kelly Salomon. Kelly is our Vice President for Newman Guide Programs, And Kelly has been with us now, I'm going to forget the number of years, but it's over 10, right? And has been doing an outstanding job of publishing the Newman Guide, and she'll tell you everything she does. Thank you.
Thank you, Patrick, and thank you all for being here. I have benefited personally from the Newman Guide. Some of you know my story, that when I was a high school student, I flipped through the very first edition of the Newman Guide in 2007, so thank you, Patrick, for releasing that. And I wanted to find a good, faithful Catholic college where I could grow in my faith, study the liberal arts, earn my MBA, meet lifelong friends, and I experienced that and so much more. I began attending daily mass on campus. I met my husband the very first day, and had a wonderful experience that has really propelled me in my faith, in my career, in my family life, and makes me so strongly convinced of the value of the Newman Guide, and now providing a faithful Catholic education for my children and wanting every Catholic family in America to know about the Newman Guide. So I'm going to tell you a little bit about the ways that we try to spread the word to every Catholic family in America. Would love to continue these conversations with you all about ways we can get every family to know the tremendous benefit of faithful Catholic education, the differences of it between secular education, what makes a really good, faithful school or college or curricula program, and where they can find it. So my job is my dream job. I just promote the Newman Guide in every way possible. And we do this in so many ways. This year was one of the first years we brought back the print edition of the Newman Guide, which was a full circle moment for me. You can now flip back through the pages of the Newman Guide. We had 23 schools in the Newman Guide at the K-12 level last year when we went to print. And we're now up to 73 schools. So schools are seeing the tremendous value of faithful Catholic education and being in the Newman Guide. What I hear from institutions is that being in the Newman Guide has helped them strengthen their Catholic identity. It's helped them improve their marketing and communications. It's helped them grow enrollment. It's helped attract mission-fit faculty, and strengthened their overall offerings. So we distributed 40,000 copies of the print book. We reach hundreds of thousands more with the ebook version of the Newman Guide. Our website, we reach 30,000 Catholic families every month who are looking for good schools and colleges. We run digital ads on Google. We were awarded a Google AdWords grant that allows us to spend $10,000 a month on Google ads. And so this grant is not available to schools and colleges, but it is available to nonprofits like ours. And so we use it to promote your institutions. As families are Googling best Catholic schools in Virginia, they're going to probably come across the Newman Guide and your schools. This year, we ran 2 online college fairs, which are great opportunities for your students to come on and visit virtual booths of the Newman Guide colleges, chat with admissions representatives, hear live webinars on how to navigate the college search. We have our scholarship contest every year, in which students, in order to compete in our scholarship contest, sign up on a simple form on our website for our Recruit Me program. That puts them in touch with all the Newman Guide colleges. And then they're able to participate in our $5,000 scholarship contest, which many Newman Guide colleges have supplemented. So if you go to that college, they'll match it for years 2, 3, and 4. We're always trying to find ways to make Catholic education more accessible, more affordable for families, and then connect that pipeline of, these students have experienced such great Catholic education at the K through 12 level. Don't stop when you go to college. Those years are often so critical in determining what path you're going to take, what kind of friends you're going to surround yourself with, where you're going to end up afterward. And so building that pipeline between Newman Guide schools and colleges is some of the ways we're trying to do that, is through our college fair, through our scholarship. We've just started this past year. We just wrapped up our first year of a weekly segment on EWTN radio. So every Tuesday morning, I invite you to tune in. I join host Teresa Tomio, and we talk about the latest in Catholic education. It's amazing how there's a new story every week to talk about, and how every week there's a way to tie it back to the Newman Guide. Celebrating America's 250th. What are the schools doing? Well, I can point to examples of what Newman Guide schools and colleges are doing and how they're, building up good citizens and faithful Catholics for the future of our country. It's just one example. So we have great discussions on there, and another way to just spread the word via EWTN has been great partners with us in spreading the word about the Newman Guide. I hope you all are receiving our monthly Newman Guide e-newsletter. It goes out to all of our Newman Guide educators, as well as 80,000 Catholic families who are on our email list. So we always tout the latest schools to get in the Newman Guide, highlight some of the special things going on in Newman Guide institutions. One of my favorite sections is we profile graduates of Newman Guide schools and colleges who are making such a difference in the church and the world, who know how to integrate the faith into their career, into their vocation, and whatever they're doing. They're sensing that call from the Lord, like Patrick talked about with that great quote from St. John Henry Newman, who God has given us a definite purpose for our lives. And I think that that's one thing that makes Newman Guide institutions stand out, is they help students to see what are your skills and talents and what is God calling you to do with your life. As I mentioned, one of the benefits of being in the Newman Guide is a lot of institutions report seeing a significant impact on their student enrollment. And this is a little chart I created from our Newman Guide colleges. As you know, many colleges are struggling. Unfortunately, many Catholic colleges are closing every year. Colleges have hit a demographic cliff where there's a lower number of students going at college age than there have been in a long time because of the declining birth and marriage rate in our country. So despite all of these struggles, Newman Guide colleges are flourishing, and many of them are reporting record enrollments this year, and this is their growth over the past decade. Monsignor Shea. For those of you who've heard him in person, he is just a blessing and wonderful. I always learn so much from him, and he has spoken many times about the impact of the Newman Guide on the University of Mary in Bismarck, North Dakota. And he said, of course, it's helped us grow our student enrollment, attract more students who are looking for faithful Catholic education, but it's also helped them attract the best mission-fit faculty as they look for a place where they're going to be able to incorporate the faith into whatever courses they're teaching. A lot of academic professors are looking at the Newman Guide and choosing an institution among those. So he said it's helped us attract the best and brightest and most faithful and ardent faculty for our students. Teresa White was the winner of one of our scholarship contests, and she said the Newman Guide really simplified her college search. They did the research and compiled the data, and she thinks it's the best investment she can make. Hearing from students, following up with them about their college experiences, we have so many testimonials from students who've used the Newman Guide to find a good, faithful college. Here's another one from Dominic Kalpachian, another one of our scholarship winners, and I believe he's at Franciscan University of Steubenville. He also said how it took significant weight with his parents, which I'm a big fan of when parents or grandparents say, we'll help you attend a good college if you choose one from among the Newman Guide. That's something I always say back to parents. It's exactly what we want to hear, because in the first 6 weeks after students go off to college, the most popular call I receive is from parents who said, it's only been 6 weeks, and my kid went off to a secular college, is already in the wrong crowd, I'm not sure if they're still going to Mass, and I'm concerned about them. And it's a really heartbreaking call to receive, and is exactly why we want families to consider, can you find a good fit for your student at a Newman Guide school or college? Jason Everett, he passed out a number of copies of the Newman Guide at his talks. He's a popular speaker on the virtue of chastity, a Franciscan graduate, And he tells every high school guidance counselor, it's one thing for students to hear a 1-hour speech from me. That's great. But so much more if they can go to a place where their faith is going to be flourishing over 4 years. Is Michael here? Michael is one of our Newman Guide principals, and he has a fascinating story about when his Holy Angels Academy was a honor roll recommended school with the Cardinal Newman Society. He started donating to the school simply because it was on the honor roll. Fast forward a number of years, he's now the principal of the school, and he said families are coming across the country to attend his school because they now see it on the Newman Guide. I love receiving all of your pictures from your Newman Guide celebrations. It's a great thing we can tout on social media and in our emails to celebrate what it means to become Newman Guide recommended. So I thought I'd include some of my favorites. Newman Guide seal on a cake. And again, every year when the Newman Guide comes out, it'll be released again this fall for the 26-27 edition. It's another reason to celebrate being in the Newman Guide. Put the Newman Guide seal on a cake, make some flags, and celebrate that the Catholic faith is at the heart of all you do. Growing number of schools in the Arlington Diocese becoming Newman Guide recommended. And that's a pattern we've seen in a number of dioceses across the country. One school might get in the Newman Guide, and then it brings others along into wanting to become Newman Guide recommended. It's also, we've seen schools get lots of media attention in public and secular media when they become Newman Guide recommended. Another opportunity to do that again this fall when we release the new edition. I think I will turn it over to my colleague, Dr. Denise Donahue. She's our Vice President for Educator Resources and Evaluation.
We didn't practice introducing ourselves. So. Take your right hand, raise it up, go like this. Pat yourself on the back. You all made it. You all are Newman Guide schools or NAPSA schools or both. So congratulations. God bless you all. This is the most exciting part of my job, is actually to evaluate and to work with you all, getting those policy standards in. I know we've been talking hours about that. But what I do is I evaluate schools, colleges, grad school programs, curriculum providers, and really we're looking for that Catholic identity. What sets your school apart from the local public school, government school, or diocesan school? And you all have it right. You all know what you're doing. I'm in awe half the time when I look at some of your schools. I wish I could go back and be in your role again, but that's not going to happen. So we can't do an evaluation without the tools for renewal. And in 2016, my colleagues at the Cardinal Newman Society, we created the Principles of Catholic Identity in Education. These principles are grounded in the church documents. They're not created, they're not pulled from thin air. You can go back and you can look at the sources for all of these 5 principles. Inspired by divine mission, models Christian communion and identity, encounters Christ in prayer, scripture, and sacrament, integrally forms the human person, and imparts a Christian understanding of the world. Those 5 principles, that's the skeleton for everything that we do, or at least I do, at the Cardinal Newman Society for the K-12 schools. So we created a mission insight tool. That is on our website. In 20 minutes, you and your faculty can sit down, take the tool, click a button, and the results will come up. You can look at your strengths and weaknesses of your school's identity and then have a discussion and create some action plans for it. It's called Mission Insight. It's based on those 5 principles of Catholic identity. We also have worked on the policy standards, and many of you have said, oh no, not another policy standard, because what it's done is it's made you look at how you're operating right now today. And it said, you know, I don't really have those morals clauses that I need in my HR contracts, my handbooks. Why are those so important? They're very important, and you'll hear today from Greg Baylor at ADF why you actually need to protect yourself and to take those preventative measures of creating the parameters for your employees. You're a faith-based institution, and so you have to protect those rights as that institution. So we work with the policies, and I think there is one school here that I think I reviewed in less than an hour, had all the policy standards, had Catholic curriculum standards, and that's Christine Mahaffrey's school. So congratulations to you. That was awesome. It was just like, oh, I love this school. I'd love to do this again. So yeah, but most of us, we're working, and we're getting all of this in our handbook. So those are our tools for renewal. The Catholic curriculum standards, we wrote those in 2016, math, science, English, and history. We're now working on several other sets of standards to add to that. I hope to have those done by the end of the year, so that's going to get a revamp. I'm really excited about that, actually. We also have the Catholic Reader, but what does all that do? All of these tools for renewal help your schools to be better. They are part of the evaluation, and it creates conversations between us. Some of the best schools, and you all of your schools are good schools. All of your schools are excellent schools, but some outshine others, and it's like, well, we've been doing this for many, many, many years. But Bob Pennefather said, it's like walking with that second apostle. It's coming together and checking each other out. It's that self-examination and your partner right there saying, maybe we need to look at what we're doing a little bit differently and improve. We can always improve. And then lastly, I'm so very excited. NAPSIS, the National Association of Private Catholic Independent Schools, we have some good friends from NAPSIS who we've known for a long time here. We'll have a reception this evening, but NAPSIS was accrediting schools for over 30 years, and now we are a subsidiary of the Cardinal Newman Society. It seemed like a very natural fit. My colleague Dan Guernsey and I have been with NAPSIS, I think he's 29 years, maybe 28, and mine was a little bit under that. But working right now, we can create a cost-effective, efficient way for your schools to become accredited. And he just called me, Dan Guernsey just called me about an hour ago and said, we can now be a national accreditor, which has a lot of ramifications for those of you who are looking for federal tax credits, local tax credit. Before, it was only really Missouri that recognized NAPSIS as an accrediting agency. We just got off the phone with WASC on the West Coast, and WASC said, yes, in fact, you can keep everything. And that was one thing we were not going to give up. Our principles of Catholic identity, we could not compromise on. And we said, this is what we're doing. Do you want us or not? And they said, yes, we will recognize all of your NAPSIS schools. So, ta-da, that's a wonderful thing. Yeah. And lastly, also, we are now currently in negotiation with Catholic Education Fund as an SGO for the federal tax credit that's coming down in 2027. So you'll be able to get that as well. So we're working with that organization to try to iron out that situation. But lots of things happening. Thank you. Congratulations to you all. You're awesome. My next colleague is Nick Reilly, Newman Network, right?
All right. Hello, everyone. Good afternoon. Thank you all for being here. For the sake of time, I just want to quickly introduce myself. My name is Nicholas Reilly. My title is Newman Network Coordinator, so I basically help run everything network related. which is very relevant because why are we here right now? It's to network with each other. We all have a shared mission in Catholic education. We all are here to help form students in their faith. So in my day today, I help plan a lot of events, events like this, online meetings. I know we've had several very successful webinars, especially for the K-12 group as well. And so we're really looking forward to expanding that in the future. Let's see. So yes, we also have our Newman Network platform, which is our online space where we can collaborate outside of in-person events like this. It makes it very easy for us to have discussions, plan online meetings, etc. So I'm very looking forward to meeting all of you individually. I know this is very quick, so if you have any questions about the network as a whole or our Newman Network platform, which we would love to have all of you join if you're not already on there, please, I would love to have a chat. So, thank you.
Okay, and finally, as we talk about the things that we can make available to you, I want to talk about social media. How many of you have a social media account for your school? And what are the platforms that you're using? Just shout one out. Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn.
YouTube.
What was that?
YouTube.
YouTube. That's a good one, especially for this event. Anything else? Okay. So what we want to be able to do is use our platforms to help you, and we want you to use your platform to help us. If we go out and tout you, we want you to be able to forward, to like, to engage with us online, to make sure that you're using the best of what we have to offer. These services are available. We're constantly promoting you through our tools, through online and through some of our social media. And then we're also doing a podcast. One of the things that we have done, we started out with our podcast as a audio only podcast, and it grew and grew. And then we went to video, and it wasn't even a game. I mean, I don't even know if we have to have content. We can just put a video on there and people will go in and check it out, right? So we've had some incredible podcasts, some over, coming close to over 250,000 views when we interview somebody who's had issues at their Catholic school. It could be a Catholic college. For example, we interviewed a young lady who now works for Catholic Answers who went to let's just say a college that advocated for things. And when she went on and she had a booth one time, a pro-life booth, and actually had to have a police escort to take her back to her dorm room and stand watch because it was that much animosity on campus for something like that. So whenever we have this opportunity, if you have issues that you think would be worthy of being profiled on the Cardinal Newman Society podcast, it could be you, it could be talking about something. For example, I know a topic here about how people are handling AI. This is a very interesting topic, and people in Catholic circles are all over the board on this. Some people, they don't want anything to do with AI whatsoever. Others are using AI to write the messages that say they don't want anything to do with AI. Okay, so we have to really be intuitive, and if you have something on this, you think there would be something worthy, please contact us, okay? The final thing is, and Nick talked about this on our platforms, getting together with like-minded people helps determine best practices for you, okay? If we get all the people in marketing together and they start sharing what they're doing, you're gonna see lights go off. You're gonna see people, hey, wait a minute, I didn't know you did that. How did you do that, right? And suddenly you can improve. How much do you spend promoting your school? Everybody, you know how I said that and everybody turned away? Did you notice that? I look out here and everybody say, oh yeah. How much are you spending to promote your school? Anybody? Do you know if you had a product in a company, you would take 7 to 10% of the revenue to promote that product? When I went to a Newman Guide recommended college, a $40 million entity, do you know what percentage I had for my marketing budget? 0.001. And this is a guy who developed pizzas. So you would think he'd know, right? So you really have to be able to say, are we investing in marketing communications at a level that we should? And then what can we do to improve ourselves? This ability to come together in these networks will help you get exposed to what other people are doing to determine best practices. I've worked with the CFOs. I've worked with the marketing communications, and in both groups, we did research projects, outlined 15 to 20 questions, sent them out. The Cardinal Newman Society gathers the results so that nobody is exposed, so that it's totally anonymous, and then we share the results back. They don't know it's your school. But then you get insights into where you fall. Do you have enough people? Do you have enough staff? Have you put enough money toward marketing communications? Have you done the things that you need to do to let Catholic families know you exist? And then these tools we can help you with. So please, don't be leaving this event and not reach out to us. When I talk to some of you, and I'm looking out right now, I'm not going to look at them, but I talked to somebody about a story that we wrote in Our Catholic Mission magazine, which goes to K through 12. And I said, where have you been my whole life? I mean, the things that you're doing at your school, I would have loved. And I didn't know anything about them, right? And if I knew about them, you can bet I would tell everybody I knew. Because I don't want people going through what we went through. I don't want them having to figure that out on their own and feeling like they're on an island all by themselves. Because you guys have something great and unique. Please let us help you participate or at least share that message with everyone out there, okay? Reach out. You're not on your own. If you need help in order to do that, and when I worked at Ave Maria University, we were contacted by a competing school, and they asked how much we had in marketing budget. Now, I didn't want to share that. And they asked how many people were working for me in the marketing department. You know how many that was? 1. This organization had 19. So when I told them I had 1, of course, they didn't want to share that because they were going to their board looking for more people. Okay? They wanted to get more people out in there, and they wanted new videographers. So this gave them the right to ask for that because they asked how many videographers were on staff at some of the other Newman Guide colleges, and they found they needed more. Now that empowers them to go down the chain and be able to do what they need to do to grow. That's what commiserating, that's what best practices is all about, okay? So please take advantage and reach out to us. Okay. Let's do this. Let's take just a few minutes. If you want to get a drink and then come back, we're going to do that, and we'll go right into our next session, okay? Drinks are in the back. Just a little 5-minute break, okay? Just because I can tell you need it.
I don't believe so.